Hello, my name's Ren, and today is Tilemap Day. So we're going to be creating 2D tile maps inside Unreal Engine using the Paper 2D toolset and these Kenney assets that I've already downloaded. The first thing we want to do is import our assets. I've already got these two imported, and what we want to do is right click on these, go to Sprite Actions, and apply the Paper 2D texture settings. Once we've done that, we can create sprites. So the next sprite action we want to do is creating a sprite from this background. We can drag that in, scale it up as normal, and now we have a nice blue background to work with. So to create a tile map on top of that, we'll take the candy sheet, we'll right click it, go to Sprite Actions and create a tile set. Tile sets are used to create tile maps. Inside the tile set, we can select different tiles and we can set the collision up for those. Now we'll notice that the tile set size is incorrect. So we'll set this to 70 by 70, which is the tile size for these. Now we're correctly selecting them. You can see a preview of what you've selected over on the right hand side. We can also add the collision to these. So on the top bar, if you click add box on the sprites that you want to add collision to, you can see that these collision get added by toggling colliding tiles. Now on this slope asset, we can edit the collision over on the right hand side again. We can either move this vertex or we can simply delete it to match the geometry. So if we save that now, close it, we can start creating a tile map. We do this by right clicking a tile set and creating tile map. We can drag that into the scene and we'll see a default 4x4 grid. And just to show that this is drawing, we can select some tiles on the left, draw them straight onto the default layer, press save, and you'll see them in the world just there. Now the tile map has a lot of tools, so we can show and hide layers on the right hand side, we can erase layers, and we can also fill them. When we've selected an image on the left hand side, we can fill with that image. We can also set up multiple layers. The layer at the top of the hierarchy is the most foreground element, and the layer at the bottom of the hierarchy is the most background element. So I'm going to name these accordingly. In the setup drop-down, we can also set our width and height of our map. I'm going to set this to 16 by 8 to give us a larger size to play with. We can also set the separation per layer. I'm going to set this to 10 so that we can see that more easily inside the editor later. On the ground layer, I'm going to throw in some platforms. These will be collidable by our player. I'm also going to use the slope that we made. I'm also going to create some background elements. So these lollipops are going to be part of our background. And in our foreground, we're going to have some of these larger objects. I'm going to add some extra platforms in on the ground layer. Right, so that's that for setting up the basic tile map. You can now see this in the world. One of the things that we need to make sure of, which we can see as a problem here, is that the world is at 0 in the y-axis. Once we've done this, we'll also need to make sure that our player is on the correct layer. In a tile map, the most foreground layer is set to 0 in its relative location. So with this tile map set to 0 and the foreground being 0, that must mean that the layer below it, which is the ground layer, is at -10 due to our separation layers. So we'll set the player to -10, we'll hit play, and now we're able to walk around on these layers. You'll see that we're walking in front of the background layers and behind the foreground layers, and we can interact with the world as intended. So the next thing we're going to do in the next session is look at creating flipbook characters to create this little guy. And thanks for watching, and go ahead and create some tile maps, and we'll see you next time.